Welcome to Better Questions, Better Insights. Joining me, Dr. Norman Chorn. I'm Ashton Bishop, and our question today is, how do teams distinguish between the good and right ideas? Norman, is that the right question?
It seems a strange question.
It does seem a strange question, doesn't it?
I think it probably depends on whether you actually want a really focused approach to getting the right ideas for the problem, whether you're actually wanting a creative process to really expand the thinking. So I think in a lot of ways, your focus will in fact constrain the kind of answers you get, the ideas you get. And so you're probably going to get a fairly quick answer, and it's going to look as if it gives you the answer to the question. But is it the most imaginative? Is it the most creative? So really what needs to happen is you need to be really clear what problem you're trying to solve in deciding if you want just a good idea or you want the right idea.
Yeah, and I think we're sort of balancing between, do we want it perfect or do we want it 80% out the door and right? And I think probably the access here to, or the better question here is, are we very clear on our risk profile, our resources, and our return horizon? Because if a business is clear on those three things, how much risk do I want to take? What resources can I actually bring to it? And then what is my appetite for result? Then I think they've got actually a framework to start to filter the ideas. Because I think good versus right, I don't know if that's a very clear distinction for a lot of businesses. And I think, no shortage of ideas, but filtering, I think, is the real magic in the process.
Yeah, the problem sometimes is if you don't go through that little context setting piece of deciding what your risk resources and outcomes are, you're more likely to choose the shortcut answer, the shortcut approach, which gives you, if you like, just the right idea that's going to solve that problem. And it might not be a particularly good idea, it just may be the right idea. And sometimes I think you tend to decide on whether the idea is right or wrong by the outcome that you achieve. And as you know, the outcome's often affected by factors such as luck and external factors over which you have no control of.
And I think one of the things that a business often gets stuck on is they generate the right idea and then build a business case to support it rather than thinking through various possibilities.
It's interesting, the other thing that really comes to mind when you talk about this question is the kind of error that can be made here. There's this type 1 error, which means you literally make a mistake in your logic, or your type 2 error, which means that you haven't actually extracted all the value you can out of this particular business opportunity. And I think that's the silent, deadly killer. The thing that isn't always obvious, but the thing that really destroys many bureaucracies. They don't make type 1 errors, they make sure all the dots, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, but they make type 2 errors. They don't necessarily.
It's very narrow in the thinking, isn't it?
Very narrow in the thinking.
And I mean, I love when I'm doing this sort of work to do a value effort quadrant where you have high value, low value, low effort, high effort. And then you've got effectively 4 quadrants where you've got a night quadrant, just do it. You've got a work experience kit quadrant, low effort, low value, just play with that. You've got your sustainable competitive advantage, which is high effort, high value. And then you've got your government funding quadrant, which is high value, high effort. And when the government start funding that, we'll do that then.
That's right. So that doesn't really give you, that gives you a lot of choices, but often we don't make those choices.
Great. Thanks, Norman.